Hello everyone. So I feel a little bit odd making this video for a few reasons because firstly I'm a little bit doped up on narcotics. I have a bad back. It's a long story. Anyway. uh, and secondly because I feel a little bit hypocritical here um, because I'm going to be giving you guys advice on how to be more successful with your photography. See, the thing with me in life is that I have all the answers, I just suck at implementing them. So you could say that I have a lot of intelligence, just not a lot of wisdom, because intelligence is knowing how to do things and wisdom is applying that knowledge. So anyway, there are five quick things that I want to go over with you about how to improve your photography and be more successful with it. And they go in order. So the first thing is the one that I suck at the most personally, and that is to find and refine your niche. That is, what type of photography you like to do the most, and to focus almost solely on that. You know, if it's landscape or portrait or you know, whatever. If it's astrophotography, which could be considered landscape, but kind of its own thing. You know, if it's sports or wildlife, you know, macro. Find your niche, refine your niche. So, you know, like let's say you shoot astro, okay, well within that spectrum, you know, are you gonna shoot primarily Milky Way, or are you gonna shoot, you know, planets and deep space? You know, figure out like what it is for you. If you're gonna shoot portraiture, like you're shooting male models, female models, are you shooting family portrait, weddings? You know, figure out your niche and refine it. The second thing is to pick good subjects. Okay, it's kind of hard to take a bad picture at places like Yosemite Park, right? So if you take a person who doesn't know what the hell they're doing and has never, you know, taken a professional grade photo, however you define that, in their life, doesn't know jack about cameras, and you give them a smartphone and send them to Yosemite, chances are they're going to be able to take radder pictures than I am, you know, sitting in my house. So, I mean, I can make, you know, anything look cool, but what you choose to shoot has a huge impact on what you're shooting. So if that's portraiture, and like let's say you're shooting female models, I'm sorry to say this, it's shallow, but it's the truth. Find attractive models, talented ones too, girls who know how to pose themselves, and you know, look good in a bathing suit. You know, if you're shooting skateboarding, for instance, because I shoot that, you know, find people who are good at it, not just your friends. You know, if your friends kind of suck, then I'm sorry, you know, like you can do that for fun, but you need to be focusing on like finding people who are really good, who rip, you know. So the second point is to pick good subjects. The third fundamental, or whatever, if you will, so you gotta find and refine, choose and refine your niche, pick good subjects, and the third thing is to learn the actual like fundamentals or whatever. Learn how to compose. Okay, what I mean by that is learn how to take a shot in a way that tells a story. You know, there's all different kinds of techniques. If you Google, you know, the fundamentals of design or photography or whatever, you'll see like this list of like 7, but it varies every time. There's like leading line and framing and rule of thirds and all of this stuff. I mean, learn all that stuff, yeah, great, but also try and you can stack those, but like try and incorporate, you know, what you're trying to convey. Have that be the main focus. You know, there's like things like tight, medium, wide for storytelling photography. You see that a lot in like photojournalism and stuff. And then also not having distracting elements in your frame that take away from the subject. So learn how to compose would be the third point. The fourth one is to trying to think of how to phrase it. You want to learn learn advanced techniques, okay? So figure out how things like shutter speed and aperture and ISO even work, and focal length and compression. And by the way, focal length and compression are not the same thing. That's a stupid argument. I finally did my research because I've been hearing a lot about it, and I don't know why I haven't figured this out until now. I've been shooting forever, but it's a distance thing, not a focal length thing. Generally, you're going to have a longer focal length lens if you're farther away from something and you're trying to fill the frame with it. And people mistake that for compression, but really the compression comes from your distance to your foreground versus, you know, whatever. So like, if I'm farther away from something small and there's something big behind it, that something small is going to look bigger in relation to the thing behind it than if I'm close to it, or vice versa. Kind of mush brain right now, but just, you know, play around with near and far objects, and, you know, like a mountain and your thumb, you know, and go like this. You figure it out. And obviously, you know, if you're further away, you're going to want to learn a longer lens. So, and if you're closer up, you're going to want a wider one. So the fifth and final thing is going to be what everybody thinks should be the first thing, and that's to get good gear. There's no sense in having good gear if you don't know how to use it. And knowing advanced techniques isn't going to do you that much good if you don't know how to think creatively and how to make a good composition. So you see, these things all kind of build into each other. And knowing how to compose really well in advanced techniques and having great gear still doesn't do you that much good if you don't have a good subject, right? So, you know, and like, as much as I love to shoot everything, and I love to shoot everything from macro to portrait to skateboarding to wildlife, picking one thing helps you stand out a lot. If you look at Instagram, for example, you know, most people won't follow a page like mine where there's just kind of a hodgepodge of everything, because most people want to follow a page like, oh, this guy's got great wave photography, so they'll follow that. You know, just all you see is wave photos. They're all different, but like, they're all freaking wave photos, right? They don't really deviate from that category. Or all lightning photos, or storm photos, or whatever, or all, you know, female models. You know, people want to pick and choose for themselves their own kind of collaboration. They don't want to just see a clusterfuck, which, much as it hurts me to say this about myself, it's kind of how my page is. I finally made the step to separate skateboarding from my page and create a separate Instagram for that. But I did that more because I felt skateboarding deserved its own thing. Because I love it so much. It was my first love before photos and everything. But I mean, I'm still doing light paintings, like really random, weird, cool light paintings, and then intermingling them with like macro and landscape. I've been trying to predominantly focus on landscape, but that's not the only thing I shoot. And now and then I'll post a cool light painting or a neat macro photo or whatever, or like a portrait, and then I'll get like unfollowers and stuff, which doesn't really hurt my feelings, but I get why. So if you want to be successful, as a recap, with your photography, the first thing is to find and refine your niche. Alright? The second thing is to learn how to compose. The third thing is going to be... See, I can't even remember my own things. Learn how to compose. Oh no, this is the first thing is find and refine your niche. The second thing is to pick good subjects. The third thing is to learn how to compose. The fourth thing is to learn advanced techniques. And the fifth thing is to get good gear. And the reason you need to get good gear is I can take great photos of anything with my smartphone. Yeah, okay. They're slowly catching up. But, I mean, 12 megapixels versus 36. Firstly, right off the get-go. And then secondly, interchangeable lenses versus fixed, you know. ISO range of 50 to 25,600 versus whatever the crap my camera does. Having the ability to shoot in bulb versus a maximum of a 10-second shutter. And it's neat that I can shoot a 10-second shutter on my cell phone now, but I mean, sometimes I need to shoot longer than that, you know, especially with things like astro and some light paintings and stuff. So, you know, getting good gear helps you a lot, and it's cool because you know, like, there's only so much you can do. Once you hit a certain point, you need better gear to be able to do stuff. Like, I remember when I really started getting into astro, and I realized that I needed a lens that could actually pull in the light. You know, and the first lens that I got was a little $250 lens. The thing's awesome. It was a Rokinon. It's an off-brand. It's a 2.8 12mm on full frame fisheye lens. So it's fisheye and distorts, but anyway, you get the point. Hopefully this is helpful. You can apply this to life in general, not just photography, I think, but hopefully this helps. And hopefully I don't sound like too much of a hypocrite, because I mean, gosh, I struggle. I'm like, I just think everything is awesome and neat, and I'm fascinated by, you know, little things all over the place. And so that's kind of how my photography ends up being. It's just like, ooh, that's cool. Oh, that's awesome, you know. Every day I'm looking at stuff from like tiny little leaves and bugs to the sunset to, like, you know, whatever. You know, my wife likes to cosplay, so she has me shoot portraits for her, and I look at it and I take pictures of my son and, you know, of our pets and like random animals, and, you know, and I skate and I take skate photos. Like, find your niche. Justin. Anyway, have a great one. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.